Hello, welcome to today's devotional. Today we're in Proverbs chapter 8, verse 27. We've been working our way through this discussion of wisdom speaking to us, as it were. And we've worked our way through these verses. The last couple of verses, wisdom has been speaking to us, saying how God used her wisdom in the creation of the world. And the last few verses have been about this. This whole book of Proverbs, for those who haven't been following along, it's a study of wisdom as God presents it to us. His wisdom, godly wisdom, what makes you a wise person. And this book is meant to show us how to become wise people. And so a lot of these first 9 chapters are very foundational in that it repeats certain ideas and emphasizes certain thoughts as foundational to being a wise person. And so that's what's been happening. And here in chapter 8, it's wisdom speaking, and like a woman calling to us and saying, be in relationship with me, have wisdom, have God's wisdom. And so she says, God used me to create everything. And by verse 27, in the verses that have been coming up here, we've been examining this idea that there's a foundationalness to all creation, but then the lofty things like the mountains, and then the lowly common things like the fields. And then here in verse 27, it says, when he established the heavens, I was there. When he inscribed a circle on the face of the deep. And then it goes on. And we're just going to focus, as we have been, on just one verse. So here it is. When he established the heavens, I was there. When he inscribed a circle on the face of the deep, I was there. And so here we get this idea. And once again, it's poetic, and it's meant to give us a poetic feel of the whole main issue, which is God uses wisdom in his creation. He based his creation on wisdom. But then each of these elements, the lofty, the lowly, and in this case, it kind of points to this idea of the heavens, the place where God is, right? Or the circle of the deep, which was often thought in the ancient world as the doorway to death, right? The place of the dead, Sheol, the underworld. And so there was, this is a kind of idea kind of symbolically stated here of even the supernatural, as it were, the extra physical parts of creation, the parts that go beyond just the laws of physics, the place where God lives and the place where the dead live, even those places, before God even set that up, he had wisdom that he used to set that up. He worked through wisdom, the celestial things, the afterlife and that kind of stuff. And from this, just a little thought here today for your devotion, if you're following along, and then just a little thought for your own devotional here is this idea, and it's kind of hinted here, but it's more explicitly said elsewhere in the Bible. This idea that heaven didn't always exist. When we think about heaven, we can sometimes think of it as a place that's timeless, that it had no beginning, that it's just timeless, like God is. And that would be a mistake. The place of heaven is just as much a created thing as everything else in the universe. In fact, the only thing that's not created is God himself. There was no space that contained him, so he's spaceless. And there was no time that contained him, so he's timeless. He was not contained within the things of creation. And heaven itself didn't exist. There was no need of a place for a spaceless being. There's no need of a time for a timeless being. So even those things, space and time, were created by God. Or the idea of a super physical space, the place of heaven, even. Well, God created that. It didn't always exist. God was not an occupant of the universe who then made it better. He was the creator of the universe, all of it, everything that exists. Aside from God, who is self-existent, everything was made by him. And wisdom is saying, I was there. Wisdom was used in the creation of everything. We also think this with Satan. Sometimes people think that in Christianity, we believe that Satan is sort of like God is, the good and Satan is the bad. And there's these two, equal and opposing forces that are pulling at the world. And that's a total misunderstanding of what Christianity believes. Satan is not God's counterpart. He's not the balancing other side, the dark side of the force. That's not what Satan is. Satan is a created being, just like everything else. God is not a created being. He's a self-existent being. He always existed. Satan was made by God. and thus infinitely less powerful than God. Not a rival, completely not a rival. In fact, even of the created things, the Bible seems to indicate that Michael the archangel is more powerful than Satan. So he's not even the second most powerful thing. So it's just a misunderstanding. There is nothing, no power in heaven, no power in hell that rivals God or that exists with God. And even wisdom here, this personification of wisdom. Wisdom is not a person. Wisdom is wisdom. It's a thing, an abstract thing. And even this is saying, I was there with God when he created all this through, he brought me forth. He brought this forth through me. And the idea is that God used wisdom, the wisdom that was inherent to his nature. He used it as a measure and a tool for creating all of the physical world, all of the time-bound universe, including the super physical things, the supernatural, the celestial things, and the things beneath the deep, as it were, the land of the dead, even all that. When he created that, he used wisdom to do so because his very nature is wise. His very nature is ordered, and his very nature is logical, and his very nature is beautiful and moral, which are also aspects of wisdom, by the way. And so we see this God who has a self-defined or a self-dependent existence. One of the words for God in the Bible is "I am that I am." I exist because I exist. Like he is self-existent. And in the same way, he creates all of the environment of everything, including the environment he works within, the universe. He works within it, but he is not contained to it. He is above even it. And so it's just a little bit of theology here for you, but I think of that when I read verse 27 here, is that, oh yeah, before the supernatural was created, God was there. He created it, and he did so, even that, in an orderly, beautiful, moral way. He created a good universe. Now, there's lots of flaws in the universe. There is a Satan. He is corruption. But God created him originally beautiful, and then he became corrupt. And God created all things, and he used wisdom and beauty and morality to do so. And then, of course, corruption has come through the acts of free beings. But that's something to remember. And then when we think about the universe and trying to live well within it, if we reject God, then of course we bring corruption, right? We become unwise, unordered, unmoral, unbeautiful, and that's exactly what Satan did. And so then we should be careful and say, I don't want to do that. I want to be aligned with God. I want to have his wisdom. And so as wisdom calls out to us, we want to answer, say, yeah, I want that too. Anyway, some thoughts for you today. Hope that's useful. God bless you over the weekend. And then God willing, we'll be back next week with verse 28. Have a great day.